welcome to the Milwaukee Mile for round 7 of the PPG Kart World Series, and we're taking a look at the grid lineup. Paul Tracy and Maurizio Gugelmin start on the front row of the grid together here with Raoul Boesel and Patrick Carpentier on the second row. Watch out for Carpentier. He's been quick all weekend. He comes from that fantastic second place finish last weekend. Greg Moore and Parker Johnston line up on the third row of the grid. Moore was superb here last year, finishing 5th after a tremendous drive. Parker Johnston had his best career finish on an oval last weekend. Dario Franchitti's qualified well again. He's 7th on the grid this time. Remember, he led the race last time out in Gateway. Alongside him is Scott Pruitt. And then on the next row, Al Unser Jr., along with Roberto Moreno. And Moreno this time has out-qualified the 5-time race winner here at Milwaukee, his teammate Michael Andretti. Mark Blundell lines up in 11th place on the grid alongside the reigning champion Jimmy Vasser. Blundell looking to improve on the 2 best 8th place finishes he's had this year. Bobby Rahal making his 17th start at Milwaukee. That's the most amongst active drivers, but watch out for Michael Andretti. He's won it 5 times here. Not many people would put money against him running a 6th time here today. Gilles de Ferran and Walter Salles are next up on row 8 of the grid. De Ferran had a good 3rd place finish last weekend, and Salles was going well at Gateway. Alex Zanardi's down in 17th place. He's moved up into 2nd place in the championship now. Brian Herter starts alongside him. He's had a bit of a disappointing weekend so far. Andre Ribeiro and Max Papis line up together on the 10th row of the grid. Andre Ribeiro scored only his 2nd top 10 finish of the season last weekend, and Max Papis the fastest of the Toyotas. 2 more Toyotas behind him. Juan Fangio leading the challenge from Dan Gurney's team alongside his teammate PJ Jones. Jones made his debut in the kart series here just 1 year ago. Behind them, Richie Hearn, one of 6 drivers making their first start at Milwaukee in this season's racing. Adrian Fernandez lines up alongside him in the spare car after crashing his primary car. Michel Jourdain and Paul Jasper line up together on row 13. Jasper only just getting his car out in time for qualifying yesterday, and not recording a time at all yesterday, the Japanese driver Hiro Matsushita. We ride on board with Roberto Moreno as they get into the build-up, but I'm joined as ever by Jeremy Shaw. And Jeremy, we've got a great prospect for the race today and some record-breaking possibilities today as well.
Indeed, we have Paul Tracy. As you say, they're going for a record 4th victory in a row, or record equaling, I should say, 4th victory in a row. Also, Penske Racing chasing their 100th victory. So a great day in prospect for Penske Racing. They've already had 1 win today. Clint Mears, driving for the Penske Auto Centers, won the Indy Lights race earlier this afternoon. Roger Penske would love to make it 2 in a row.
Just looking at the lineup for the race, it's 200 laps, that's 200 miles of this track. It's not a banked oval, this one. It's basically flat, both turns, no real banking in them at all. It was resurfaced last year, but that surface is really coming in well this year, and the drivers are just talking about how much grip there is out there. Astounding amount of grip, and that of course is part of the reason that Paul Tracy just absolutely slashed the lap record here in qualifying. Last year they didn't get the chance because it rained out the qualifying session, but we're on for a very fast race if we don't get too many yellows.
Yes, we are indeed. Everybody, I think, except for Paul Jasper and Hiro Matsushita, whose engine blew as he was leaving the pit lane to go out for his qualifying attempt, is underneath the existing track record. But as we talked about earlier on, the new track surface here really makes that irrelevant. And we're in for a very, very fast pace, so we're getting ready on the back straight for the start.
So let's get things built up now as we look towards the start of this race. Remember, Paul Tracy's on the right-hand side of your screen. Maurizio Gugelmin is on the outside as they come out of turns 3 and 4 to get this 200-lap race underway. Round 7 of the championship, and the green flag is prepared, and away they go. And Paul Tracy from the inside line takes the lead into the first corner. Maurizio Gugelmin follows him through. It's Raoul Boesel in the 3rd position, Patrick Carpentier in 4th, and the first couple of rows basically starting in order as qualified as you ride on board with Jimmy Vasser trying to get past Parker Johnston. Looks as though he's managed to slip down the inside, and look, from our commentary position I can see, well, yes, you can see yourself, Johnston stayed with him around the outside. Jimmy Vasser tried it on the inside, he couldn't quite do it, and now Johnston's having a little go at Greg Moore, who's right ahead of them. That's the battle for 5th place. Moore in 5th, Johnston in 6th, and you're back on board Jimmy Vasser in 7th place.
He wants that position, getting a little bit of a toe down the back straight, but not able to make a move on the inside. Paul Tracy, meanwhile, already pulling away to the front of the field. There it goes, flashing across to complete lap 2. The gap is already 1.1 seconds over Maurizio Gugelmin. Nice clean start there by these 27 cars in this field. Very clean start. Hiro Matsushita bringing it up the back of the field. There is Paul Tracy down the backstretch, already pulling away and extending his margin over Maurizio Gugelmin. Then Raoul Boesel, Patrick Carpentier tucked in behind Raoul Boesel as they get round turn 4.
There you can see the 2 of them. There's Boesel in 3rd place, Patrick Carpentier Canadian rookie who drove...
Crash in front of us, right in front of us in turn 4. Michel Jourdain lost control of the car midway through the corner. Sorry to interrupt there, Ben. He hit the wall backwards there. Big flash of flame, but thankfully... hopefully Michel is okay there. They're under yellow caution now. Here they come past the scene of the accident. Big flash of flame. There's still some smoke there from the back of the car. Gearbox oil probably burning there. The back end of the car completely destroyed on the car number 19. Michel Jourdain appeared to be moving in the cockpit, and the safety team is on its way around now to deal with the cars as soon as the race cars get out of the way.
Look, good to see him getting out of the car, though. It looks as though Michel Jourdain basically unhurt in a dramatic accident coming out of turn 4, and he's gone heavily into the wall. You can see the grandstands on the outside. You see how close people are to the action on this Milwaukee track. They're right up against the wall there. They're not really quite supposed to stand down at the end there, but you can't blame them when they see an accident like that happening in front of them. And the young Mexican driver, obviously the first casualty of this race. But great to see him out of the car. The rest of the cars are following the pace car. Not much point in them coming into the pits at this early stage. So we'll take the time to take a break and come back to Milwaukee in a moment. Milwaukee still under yellow flag here as Paul Tracy leads after 9 laps have been completed. From pole position, he set the initial pace. Maurizio Gugelmin still lies in 2nd place. And you saw some of the positions further down. Let me tell you, Dario Franchitti in 9th position. So he lost 2 from his starting position of 7th on the grid. Michael Andretti is in 10th place. Mark Blundell also lost out a few places. He started in 11th place, but dropped back down to 15th. And he, in fact, has Alex Zanardi right behind him. 1 or 2 people did move up, though. And Jeremy, one of the best performances we saw on those opening few laps was Jimmy Vasser.
Yeah, tremendous start from Jimmy Vasser. He was on the grid in 12th position, came past the end of lap 1 in 7th, and as we saw at the start, they're all over Parker Johnson, trying to get around him as well. So as last week in St. Louis, Jimmy Vasser quickly on the move. His teammate there, however, Alex Zanardi, car number 4, back in 16th place. He's made up 1 position at the start. A little bit farther back down the field, Richie Hearn moved from 23rd to 18th in his Lola. That's the fastest of the Lola cars. And I think it's fair to say that Lolas have been really struggling this weekend, really towards the tail end of the field all weekend, and all the drivers complaining about looseness in the cars, or actually primarily understeer, in fact. But clearly that wasn't the problem for Michel Jourdain, who lost control of his car on lap 3 there. Pretty heavy crash there for Jourdain. Good to see him out unhurt. Yes, that's right. And the clear-up operation of Jourdain's car is continuing at the moment. We saw Zanardi there just having a little follow him around the field. Surprising to see him qualify so far down this time, down in 17th position. He was saying yesterday that they've had the same problem that they've had the last couple of races, in that once the tyre temperature is up, then the car's performing well, but it doesn't seem to build up that grip very quickly. So that's obviously a bit disappointing. Sounds...
Zanardi is number 2 and trying to close down.
As though we've just got somebody down in the pits at the moment. Let's just have a listen.
Australia that has spilled over into recent events. And in fact, yesterday in a practice session, Zanardi was extremely angry as he got out of his car, ran up, confronted Tracy at the end of the session, and accused him of trying to block him deliberately or get into him on the racetrack. The emotion of the moment was very, very hot. The chief steward, Wally Dallenbach, sat down with both drivers. They diffused the situation, they say. Everything is cool. But believe me, this rivalry is hot. Jan Mikas?
Bernie Myers is the man on the other end of the radio with Michel Jourdain. Did he say anything about the accident? Do you know what happened? Now, we've been fighting the car for 3 days. The Lowells are really struggling here. We made some changes between the warm-up this morning and the race. Unfortunately, we made the car loose. That's what you want here. Unfortunately, we're in the fence. We ran well at Rio and Madison. We're disappointed today. All right, they still have 1 car in the race, though. Bob?
So looking back at the leaders, Paul Tracy pulling them around, Maurizio Gugelmin and Raul Boesel in 3rd place. And we just heard reference, Jeremy, there to a little incident between Zanardi and Tracy. Looks as though we're going to go green flag racing again. We'll come back to that a little bit later on, because Paul Tracy now beginning to pick up the speed as they come past us in the commentary box, so out of turn 3 and 4 and take the green flag once again. Restart on lap number 14 and Carpentier. Carpentier takes 3rd place from Raul Boesel on the restart. He is immediately on the pace once again, as he has been all weekend. In fact, he's been fastest on the Friday and was just a little bit off in qualifying yesterday. They just changed the setup on the car slightly, and that really lost him the chance of qualifying in the front row. But it looks as though this car is working brilliantly well in the race, and now he's putting Maurizio Gugelmin under pressure for that 2nd position.
Great effort there. What a super drive from the young rookie driver. He was the Toyota Atlantic champion last year. This is just his, seventh start in the IndyCars, and he's all over the back end of Mauricio Gugelmin to come round 3 and 4 to complete lap 15. Long way to go. Great start by Patrick Carpentier.
It is a long way to go, and what you've got to watch out for from these cars is as they go through the stint, the cars tend to get into more oversteer. The handling of the car can get away from them. It's quite warm today, and that can make a difference, more like it was at the end of yesterday's qualifying session. The teams haven't necessarily done that much running in these higher temperatures. Really is a beautiful day here in Milwaukee today, blue sky and sunshine. That could change the car's handling as they go through the first stint, and we'll get a clearer idea after another 20 laps or so as just who has got their car dialed in the best. But this is the battle for second place. Mauricio Gugelmin versus Patrick Carpentier. And Carpentier, as a result of that second place that he had last weekend, the best result for the Bettenhausen team in some 12 years of trying, is now the leader in the Rookie of the Year competition. It's given him quite a healthy lead over Scotland's Dario Franchitti. Dario will be out to make up for that today, and he lies in 9th position still at the moment, with the five-time winner of this race, Michael Andretti, one position behind him in 10th place. Everybody else at the moment fairly well strung out. Franchitti and Andretti are two of the closest, in fact, and Alonso Jr. back down in 12th place. He lost out a lot at the original start of the race, and obviously he's not making up much ground at the moment.
No, it's not, is he? Nobody really making much progress at the moment. I think it's pretty much status quo. Well, Paul Tracy in a couple of laps will be coming up on a couple of tail enders. The first hitman he'll have to deal with actually was Adrian Fernandez, who's had just a miserable weekend in the Takati Quaker State car of Steve Horner's Tasman Motorsports. He, in the first session on Friday, he had an engine oil leak in his primary car and a gearbox oil leak in the second car. He had a big crash yesterday morning. Boy, he has had a terrible time, and Paul Tracy's coming on him now as they go into turn 1.
We're looking at the battle between Bozell and Moore. The battle for 4th place at the moment, as Paul Tracy, we can tell you, is getting up amongst the back markers already, so-called back markers. But remember, to put a lap on somebody means that you're only less than 20 seconds ahead, so it doesn't take much to start lapping the slower cars here. And Tracy has already put one car down a lap. That is Adrian Fernandez, and he goes chasing after the other cars now. But this battle for 4th is still looking good. Raul Bozell, the pole sitter from the last race in Gateway, and then he had a very strange electrical problem it was in the end that caused Raul Bozell to coast past us and to stop. He got back into the race, but it lost him all that time. But that really was a bit of an odd one, wasn't it, Jeremy?
It really was. Very, very strange indeed. And I gather it was something that he could have easily reset in the cockpit. As soon as he got back to the pits, they realised instantly what it was, and they were able to get the car fired up, and on his way he went. But by then, of course, several laps down and completely out of contention.
Yeah, so that was disappointment for the Brazilian on pole last time out, but he's had some good results here in the past. He's matched his best ever result. He's had a second position here in 93, had a couple of pole positions here as well, as we look back towards Mauricio Gugelmin and Patrick Carpentier also getting in amongst the slower traffic now. But Paul Tracy's up ahead. He's already established over a 2 seconds advantage. Paul Jasper's the next car to be battled. As this battle for second continues, we'll take a break.
Live to the PPG Kart World Series with Husqvarna, Forest and Garden Products.
Welcome back to Milwaukee, where Paul Tracy still leads, but Greg Moore is up into second position. He's just got past Mauricio Gugelmin, and look how close he is now to the back of Paul Tracy's car. Greg Moore has been on a real charge, and he's going for the lead as they go into turn 1. It doesn't quite come off there, but Moore has been absolutely flying. He got past Raul Bozell in a very clean move, and then we had a complete change around when Patrick Carpentier, look at this change to the lead, is it? No, not quite. He takes a tighter line into turn 3 than Paul Tracy, and it looked as though he was going to get past there for a moment, but doesn't. As I was saying, though, Carpentier was the one who lost out the most when Greg Moore came up. Carpentier got completely boxed out by the back markers, including PJ Jones and Juan Fangio, and he dropped right behind both Greg Moore and Mauricio Gugelmin. Greg Moore used that opportunity to move up into third, and then soon past Mauricio Gugelmin up into second place, and now Tracy leads. Moore is in second, and Gugelmin is in third.
Interesting to me too, a couple of laps now they've been behind Max Papis there, who's really good, doing a good job in the MCI Artiera Wells Reynard Toyota. By far and away the best run for that team this season. And there is Greg Moore getting a run. No, he can't make a move to the inside. He needs to be able to get right along